My sister stole my bike, ruined her life, and now blames me for everything. I was just browsing YouTube yesterday when I saw a video about my last post, and I realized I never made a final update. So here it is. To start things off, yes, my bike is fine. I managed to avoid anything on it getting rusty or clogged up after my sister had it dumped in a pond. It already was not new, and there were no new creaks or groans from it. I was worried something on it would go bad, but it's a really simple single-speed bike, so it works just fine after having everything oiled after being submerged in water. I re-greased the crank bearings anyway. I've also changed out the rear tube and tire myself a few months ago, and I still ride practically everywhere. On to my brat of a sister. She barely managed to pass college, and she did try to blame her low grades on me and depression from the bike incident multiple times. But even our parents stopped allowing her to do that. They finally hit their limits and started cracking down on her bad behavior and made her sit in her room and study whenever she had a pity party or tantrum. They threatened to cut off the Wi-Fi and shut off her phone multiple times if she didn't actually get her homework done. She cried and said she hated them, but she sucked it up and finally did as told. She finally managed to graduate, but her graduation was not a very fun time for her. We all went out to celebrate with her, but she was just not happy. And the reason why is because she has no friends anymore. And she'd hoped to party with her former clique friends after graduation, but they all cut her off some time ago because she's a brat. As an ironic punishment, our parents started making my sister ride a bicycle to get around. She hated it more than she hates the bus. It's a cruiser bike our dad picked up used for her, and our parents practically begged me to take her out on weekend rides to get her out of the house for a few hours. And I did, but only because they asked nicely and offered dinner. Last we spoke of it, my sister still held firm she believes it's wrong to eat at the hospital for some reason, but couldn't find any valid reason to justify it when asked why by anyone. Literally no one sided with her about it anymore. Even our parents admitted they no longer find it weird after being told the cafeteria is actually a separate business from the hospital. And as another show to the family, they actually went with me to have a family lunch at the hospital a couple of times. And they forced my sister to come along. She looked weirdly fidgety and openly said she couldn't believe they made her eat there when it was against her beliefs. She kind of worded it in a way as like it was against her religion or something, and was told off for exactly that. So she just cried like she always did, but was told to grow up. I think she was just standing by her so-called beliefs because she'd have to admit she was wrong to herself if she did, and she just wouldn't do that. There have been times I questioned if she's not just a spoiled control freak, but a narcissist too, though I'm far from qualified to diagnose anyone. My sister's clique all ended up abandoning her as a friend because being involved with her screwed them over too. Since at least two of them shared in her plan to steal my bike and dump it, they all got hazed for it when word got out. So the clique blamed my sister for everything and stopped talking to her to save their own reputations. While I didn't file a police report, the two girls who stole my bike did get in big trouble with their families. And that minivan they were driving, it turned out it was borrowed from one of their parents, and they stopped allowing its use after finding out what happened. The parents who owned the minivan even visited me to apologize to me on behalf of their daughter, and also asked for a copy of the video I took, which I gave. Even though they were fully complicit, the clique put it all on my sister and threw her under the bus to everyone. I guess now my sister knows how it feels to be the scapegoat. She was also laughed at for a while since she was forced to ride a bike to and from college since our parents decided it was cheaper than the bus, and my sister no longer had friends to carpool with. And no, her bike was not stolen or vandalized. My sister just hated it. Our dad has also forced her to learn how to fix and maintain the bike herself too. He used to tinker on bikes in his youth and still has the tools around. So he knows enough to do all his own work on bikes, even though he no longer rides them himself. And he taught me the basics of working on them too. For those who said that my sister would do something even more crazy or retaliate against me, she did nothing of the sort. She's just bitter. She was made to get counseling, and it's improved her slightly. But if it has any real effect, for all I know it'll take years to see a change in her. But she doesn't try to boss me around anymore. I've been called over for dinner by my parents a number of times since my last post, and my sister barely speaks to me at the table. And she seemed further annoyed by the fact I was completely unbothered by it too. She's been told by everyone, even our parents to an extent, that she destroyed her own reputation. But she can't seem to stop putting blame on me because she needs a scapegoat. I also chained and locked my bike whenever I visited home from the prank incident onward, just in case. After my sister finished college, my parents suddenly announced that my sister was moving out of their house. She openly did not want to, but they forced her to get a job immediately and made her find an apartment. They said her party days were over, and it's time they made her learn about adult life. Multiple relatives told my parents that my sister wouldn't really grow up unless she lives on her own and pays her own bills. My parents deliberated about it for some time, because she was obviously their golden child. But my sister would never become an adult so long as they kept things as they were. My sister is still not happy about it at all, because she loved being a spoiled leech. But she couldn't blame me for that, as I was not involved in this decision in any way. And she knows it. But she had multiple, it was just a bike. Tantrums when she was trying to put the blame on me when things weren't going well for her at college. Our mother once smacked her upside the head and told her to stop acting like I was the one causing all her problems. And it wasn't just a bike to me, it's borderline my livelihood since it's my primary mode of transportation. Currently my sister shares a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 other girls. She had to be moved further away so her reputation wouldn't follow her when she got a job. My mother really cried over that. My sister is working in an office and learning how to be a secretary, but she moans and groans about hating her current life, but also tries to rub it in my face about what she'll do when she makes better money than me. I just told her you do you. And she got mad I didn't take the bait. She does not like her roommates and still has to ride the bike our father got her to get around. Her commute isn't far, just a few miles. So she doesn't waste money on the bus, and walking is too slow for her. She wanted, if not practically demanded our parents to buy her a car since they kicked her out of the house, and they refused to get her one, which made her stop talking to them for a while. I think it's probably pretty obvious my sister and I don't go on bike rides together anymore. That stopped as soon as she moved out. While we were still doing weekend rides together, my sister tried multiple immature plugs she could think of at me. I don't even remember most of them, because I just ignored her taunts and didn't even act irritated. Then she'd call me dince or special ed and would roll her eyes. Among her repeated immature taunts, one was trying to say things like her bike is better than mine, because it actually has gears. But she could never outpace me anyway. It kinda seemed to make her determined to get in better shape at least. I think she just wants me to be the big loser, so she doesn't feel like one. My sister obviously wants a car, but can't afford one on her own yet because she's not good at saving. She wanted our parents to buy her an e-bike for Christmas, and they refused after seeing how much good ones cost. My sister has already cost them a lot of money anyway since they covered all 3 years of her college. As a bit of a joke on Christmas, I gave her new tires for her bike, which she gave me the stink eye for. Our parents also had to bail her out financially a couple of times in 2024 because she didn't manage her finances well. At this point, despite how much she's been beat down to the consequences of real life, she still acts like a spoiled brat in denial. But otherwise, she is somehow managing. Though another thing she's used to be angry at me about these days is the fact I live alone, and she has to have roommates to afford rent. I've met her roommates too, and they actually seem to really like me, which really upset my sister more. I think the reason she hates all of them so much is because they don't bend to her well like our parents used to. She really hates it when people don't do what she wants. So it must be a nightmare for her to be living with people who don't put up with any of her demands. That about sums up everything till now.